Anirban, at United Breweries and Reckitt Benckiser, your previous employers, you basically sold goods that were already known to the consumers. Here you're selling a behavioral change. How has the approach changed?
I mean, people tend to think when it's a brand, it automatically sells. It doesn't.
Hmm.
Um, I would say from the United Breweries or Reckitt, what they teach you is to how to create processes which keep on replicating. And when you are making decisions, the decisions are about actually making the guy who's your feet on street or pounding the street make his or her life better.
Okay.
So you work on enablement rather than direct sales.
Hmm.
So that has helped a lot. When we started Drivey, so when we started Drivey, the first 2 years was basically COVID, right? So there is nothing much even the greatest salesman could even do.
Right.
So at that point of time, we tried to create processes, benchmarks, and how to see business in a dispassionate way at a certain distance to understand is the system working and what are the parts you need to correct. So behavioral change, I think the biggest motivation for behavioral change is pricing for Indian. And we have always been consciously working on making it an affordable option. Right? Because when you are asking someone to take a big leap of faith and change from something that is so dependable like an ICE vehicle to suddenly into an EV, you have to incentivize them. And sometimes the incentivization is the pricing.
Right.
Because you cannot ask your customers to go through a lot of hoops to trust you. So what we want is it to be easy. And we as consumers, when we conceive easy, pricing is a very big part of it.
Right. Because you've had such a rich track record in sales, what would you say is the most counterintuitive lesson that you've learned from selling beer and consumer goods that has surprisingly proven valuable in the e-rental market, green market?
The EV sharing, bike sharing market.
Yes.
See, one of the most incredible thing that happens when you do sales or you do revenue part of the business is people will think people come with preconceived notions. You have never, if you have to be there to understand the point of sales. When we say a point of sales where a ticketing event happens, right? Where somebody buys something. How much being attentive to the customer who has walked in changes their mind. I mean, we might say that we believe in a certain brand, I only use this. But if you travel back 3 years, you are probably not using that. At certain point of time, an inflection point came where you switched your brand.
Right.
Right? Everybody's.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, people can here say that a lot of old businessmen who have built this city, right? You have already old businesses here. They might have traveled in an ambassador at one point of time. Do they travel in an ambassador today? No,
Most
they
likely
don't.
not.
So you have to understand when a customer comes to you, he has his or her own opinion, but he values your opinion and if you have time to talk to them. So one of the most counterintuitive thing is to go out there to talk to your customer at any and every point of sales.
Okay.
So don't say that he has decided his mind and we cannot change them. You can change them. Because what happens when any kind of a product or a software or a service reaches a certain scale, we will start finding long tails, right? Bell curve. A huge lot will come in the middle part,
Right.
but there will be long tails that are being created where people are like, I want something in the long tail. And I believe every startup or every business that's trying to establish, it is the long tails that you catch first. So and there is no set way of saying what is counterintuitive.
How do you define long tails for viewers?
So
if you could just clarify, like a 5-year-old, you're explaining to a 5-year-old.
See, I mean, long tail can come on two sides, right? One is a dying side. So, how do I explain a bell curve here? Like I told you, I scored 34 in mathematics in class 10. It's not like I'm really great at it. So
long tails, from a consumer point of view, who are the long tails?
Long tails are people who are already drinking a coffee, right?
Okay.
So, let's take coffee. Nescafe always existed, right? Nescafe always existed.
Right.
It was always sold in every part of the city. Then why are people grinding their own coffee beans today? They might not be critical mass today, but it's growing.
Yes.
So like the Pokemon thing, right? Catch them young.
Yes.
So you want to find your set of early believers who were just exactly looking for you.
Okay. Not laggards.
Not laggards. Correct, not lagats. So the fundamental is when you are doing a new business, there is absolutely no point trying to chase 10,000 users.
Okay.
It's far more important to find your 100 believers. So that's where the long tail part is.
Okay.
So because these people will love your whatever you are giving so much. So my case, what happened? I could have said that everybody in this studio should use my driving. They should use and ride a driving. But for me to convince them to switch from whatever they're so comfortable with is probably marketing suicide and spend suicide. So what we did, we focused on hostels. We focused on guys who are students who are traveling from different cities to study, because they were desperate for a commute solution. You guys were not. You were in your hometown, probably with a car or a bike. Convincing you is pointless while you are a bigger chunk. So I looked at that long tail, which were there because they gave me critical mass today.
Okay.
So long tail is sometimes a difficult thing to find, but I think it's very important to keep searching for your next long tails.
Understood. Tell me about this. When you first pitched, quit your job, decided on becoming an entrepreneur and venturing into Let's Drive, you must have been met with a lot of skepticism. Has the reality now validated or disproven those ideas initially?
No, it's not like the way we started, we are doing exactly all the same things. I think when you're starting a startup or a venture, however, whichever way you put it, the early part is to survive long enough to iterate. Right? I can come with a preconceived notion in my head that this is how the consumer will use it. And believe me, users will always take you to school. Right? A early journey of a startup is all about survival. Live to die another day. So as you live to die another day, you keep on asking yourselves the set of questions, talking to your users perhaps, to understand what they want. Because proof is in the pudding, right? Proof is in revenue.
Right.
So you want to know and iterate till you understand, okay, this is scalable, this can be sold to 200 people or 500 people or 1,000 people. So the first version with which we started, not necessarily worked. So yeah, keep on iterating. Don't let your ego tell you stories. Right? मुझे पता है कि यही चलेगा. Right?
Okay.
No, you don't. You don't know. Consumers know what they are interested to pay. The users know what they are interested to pay. You have a hypothesis.
Okay.
You test it and reiterate.
So what's the one thing that maybe urban planners and green mobility movers and shakers of the city missed on that you caught upon on initially while you started Let's Drive?
No, I will not say they missed upon. That's a very strong statement, right?
Okay.
People who are working on urban planning or green mobility, I mean, I always see India is a humongously big country, right? I mean, people do not understand the scale of it. Probably we are bigger than 3-4 European countries put together?
Absolutely.
Odisha, I'm saying. Just Odisha is
Yes,
bigger than
yes.
3 or 4 European countries put together in landmass as well as in population, perhaps. On top of that, what happens is a mature economy and a young economy like ours goes through different phases. Where, like I will like to say, there will be 1.5 to 1.5% of Indian population which can literally live in any country. For let's say Monaco, and their lifestyle won't change because they have that kind of mullah, right? Then there will be another set of 15 to 20% people who can probably live in a Abu Dhabi or a Dubai or any other Middle East country, and it wouldn't matter. Then we'll have a humongous 30, 35 or whatever, don't take the numbers, it's not quotable, who can be Rio de Janeiro, right? Thoda paisa hai, thoda lifestyle hai, but not much.
Right.
And then there will be 50% India, which is sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
Right? There are a lot of times I say Indian economic survey is one of the greatest things that happens before budget, where you can see and understand what kind of propensity to buy, purchase, and what kind of money Indian families have. So sometimes even an average Indian family of 3 has 20,000. So question is, what we tend to do when a government takes an initiative, it has to be all inclusive. When we are private, we can say no to customers. Government cannot. So what we did, so in order to increase the ease, like we had those bike stands across the city, right? What about the asset? Like I can build any technology I want, right? But the end of the day, someone is riding the bike, right? And that's the product. And if that is in a bad shape, the tech does not matter.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The tech does not matter. You could have marvelous tech.
Hmm.
But if I'm sitting on a bike whose seat is wobbly, whose handle is tedha,
Hmm.
how does it matter?
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, what we really wanted to do, like I said, focus on a certain set of people.
Hmm.
Give them
Hmm.
the experience that you want to give.
Hmm.
Because when I'm talking about a bike to an 18-year-old and a
Hmm.
bike to a 45-year-old,
Hmm.
they're two drastically different
Absolutely.
experiences.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
A 45-year-old might want the top-notch experience because he's not afraid to pay. A 18-year-old has a different purchasing power parity, and thoda mirror हिल रहा है तो चलेगा ना यार.
Hmm.
What difference does it make?
Hmm.
So be clear to your audience. I wouldn't say they missed something. We just focused on our own experiences, right?
Okay.
Right? When we stayed in hostel, me in Mumbai or other places, yeah, your social life was dependent upon that one bike that your friend had. When he made it available, you stepped out. I remember going to Pune's and other places for quizzing. यार 3 दिन पहले बात करके गाड़ी साइड करवाना पड़ता था, उसको 2 रात खिलाना पिलाना पड़ता था.
Right.
Right? And it will not drastically change. See, one thing that remains constant in India is everybody's hostel experience. It's a matter
That's
of
true. Yeah.
you. No matter who you talk to, it's a lot of sleepless nights, terrible plannings, and terrible ideas. Right? That's a constant. So that's the assumption. There will be that audience, and when we say we are young India, that audience is not going to decrease. It's going to keep on increasing.
Increasing.
So let's just focus there. Let's solve for them. The part about cars or affluent people will happen sometime later if it has to.
Factually, a substantial portion of your clientele is young. Are young.
Yeah, less
students.
than 25. 25 or below.
Right. Tell me about a bizarre use case that made you rethink your strategy. I mean,
No,
there
this
have
is
been-
not about the bikes. This is not about anything else.
Okay.
So what we did is when we launched our app for the community model, so the ones which are in 3 of the SOA campuses, what we said, कि यार, because these are young people and they would want their liquidity back, right? Not like if you keep a security deposit, let it stay there for 7 days.
Yeah.
I mean, रात का खाना भी उसी से खाना है. So if they withdraw really quickly, it's great. And one fine day we wake up. So what we did, you can put money in the wallet. After your ride is over, you can immediately withdraw the money also. So we did that. And one fine day we reach at office in the morning and realize someone has done transactions worth 8 lakhs on our wallet.
Oh, okay.
And that amounts to something like over one night a payment gateway charges of 25-30,000. So I'm like, what happened? So one of the kids had a Stancy credit card which had 2.5% cashback on an any digital transaction.
Okay.
So all night what he did, he loaded money, he withdrew money. He loaded money, he withdrew money. So by one night we had a payment gateway charge of 30,000. So like I say, the customers will always take you to school. So you will have to learn to iterate. See, our intents were at the right place. But then the users have their own intent, right? So bizarre case. We had some 10-12 lakhs of transaction overnight on in our wallet. We had no idea why it was happening. So we figured it out.
Now let's talk about the technological challenges that come with managing the fleet of vehicles. Talk us through about the number of vehicles that you have and
So we are close to 1,500 in Bhubaneswar right now. We do more than 1,100, 1,200 rides every day in Bhubaneswar as of today. Like I said, we are also launching Bangalore. So we have done a pilot batch. Now it's going to be a full-scale kind of deployment.
Right.
So when you talk about technology, there were a lot of fleet management softwares out there. Right? During our early days, we also kind of got 2-3 fleet management softwares from outside. And some of them have also sponsored like IPLs and stuff, that big.
Oh, okay.
But none of them worked for us. So what we did today, as of today, our FMS or fleet management software is our in-house. So we have built it for our businesses. And like our partners today, MBSI, which is Yamaha Motor Company Japan subsidiary,
Right.
or TVS, our partners for the launch in Bangalore, they also have great feedback of our FMS. So that's something that we are really happy about. But the story is, as in most of tech, there's no point being just happy with what we have today. We have to keep on building on top of it. So we have a lot of data, right? Telematics data. And storing data is cost. If data cannot be converted in information and information to actionable intelligence, then it's just pointless cost of hoarding data. So point is right now we have data. So and FMS that does a lot of stuff for us to manage. So now the journey is for the information and actionable intelligence. That's the journey we have to build towards. And that's also the journey why we are looking to raise fund, because some of those things, and to probably crunch that amount of data, you need a lot of specialists. That side of business will need a lot of specialists, while running a business need a lot of generalists, people who understand a little bit of everything. But when you're crunching these huge 1100 1200 ride data every day,
You need
trying to find and trying to make sense out of it, those needs those data specialists and people who can work with such huge models and data. So those are expensive, right?
Okay.
So that's a case of when and where and when we raise our next round.
Okay. Now, since you talked about data, and I'm sure by this point you must have had a significant amount of repository rental data and customer insights as well. What's one bold prediction that you personally would make for green mobility in the next 5 years in Bhubaneswar?
See, I look at it data from a very different perspective. The kind of questions that you asked, I'm pretty sure if Ankur was here, Ankur, my co-founder, would have been here, would have given absolutely amazing answer. I think we are selling EVs wrong.
Okay, and how is that?
EVs cannot be sold the way ICE was sold. I'll tell you why. So you might today decide to, do you have a bike?
Yes.
Which one?
I have a Royal Enfield. and
Royal
Activa.
Enfield, right?
Yeah.
Are you afraid of buying a Royal Enfield that has clocked 20,000 kilometers? No.
Not really.
You will be able to sell your Royal Enfield as well.
Yes.
So now when we are selling EVs second hand, won't you be apprehensive about a electric bike, buying a second hand electric bike that has clocked 20,000 kilometers?
I would be apprehensive.
Because you don't know how long will the battery go.
Yes.
So instinctively, you have destroyed the second hand market value of an EV.
Right. The reseller value.
The resale value,
Yeah.
second hand market value. So now, if you buy an EV while you save cost, how do you, when you aspire to get your next bike, right? What do you do about it? I don't think EV is an ownership play,
Okay.
right? I don't think EV is an ownership play. EV will add a lot of convenience to you and lot of ease to you, but I think subscription platforms, ridership platforms. What is ridership? Ridership is like, I am pretty sure when you live in Bombay, a lot of people will not have a car or a bike.
Right.
Why? Because you can get down at 3 a.m. in the morning and an auto or a cab guy will take you on meter, not on some random ramblings and arguments you do.
Right.
So, EV can be done that way in sharing, right? We have more than 650 people on monthly subscriptions in Bhubaneswar. What did they do? They don't own it. They do not have to go through the hassles of service as well. यार सर्विस ड्यू है आ जाओ तो आओ guys go up there, pick it up, service it and return it back. So all the joys of the commute without none of the commitments of ownership. I think EV is a much better play that way.
Is it in a sort, in a way, a no strings attached relationship with vehicles?
I call it for, see, this is commute for the Tinder and the Snapchat generation.
Yeah.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
Tinder and Snapchat
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
A lot
It's
of people will not get it. अरे क्यों किराए पे
It's
दूँ?
not an ownership game.
No,
as you
I
say.
think a lot of times the way we look at the vehicles we own is mera gaadi. I think a lot of these younger generations will stop caring about it.
At
Like,
one point, yeah.
At one point of time, a lot of people said that when the cab aggregators
Yeah.
on app
Yeah.
were affordable. Now the prices have jumped up.
Yes.
A lot of people did all their travel in that,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
अब क्या है, if you want to have a passion bike like an Enfield or a Triumph for an Indian, that's a very different ball game. I'm not fighting with them. Please keep your Indian or a Triumph for yourself. I have no issues with that. But everyday office commute, do you fall in love with your bike to go to office?
Not really.
हाँ.
Yeah. I mean, very few people would.
हाँ. And there will be this issue, that issue.
Yeah.
किसी दिन puncture हो गया, धक्का मार. क्यों?
Right.
I'm there. Don't. I think the lack of second-hand market or the second-hand resale value of an EV, which people will try because the amount of EVs that has been bought already, you will find to see an inhibition.
Okay.
So either EV scales up with solutions like us or other players who built it. Otherwise, like I always insisted on, India is a very price-sensitive market.
Right.
When they realize that the resale value, I mean, even if you have clocked 50,000 kilometers, right? That is the warranty of a top tier EV scooter. 50,000. You have bought it for 1 lakh. Will you be comfortable selling it for 10,000? No, you have lost 90% of the value. People want to sell it at 30, 40, and but nobody will buy it at 30, 40. Then what do you do? Do you think people have that kind of long-term memory when they say, "Acha, I spent 2 rupees per or 1 rupees per kilometer"? I
No,
don't
they
think.
generally let go.
हाँ, we Indians anyway have short memories.
Yes.
So नहीं बिकेगा. We have to rethink how we sell EVs. How the adoption is going to happen, not sell exactly. How the adoption is going to happen has to be rethought rather than the traditional dealership model of ICE.
What is Let's Drive's unit economics? Can you break down it for us, like the cash cow in terms of subscription models? How are they like?
See, most of our 1100, 1200 rides that happens every day, around 450, 500 comes from our net zero campus model.
Okay.
So we are present across 11 colleges. We are also thinking of piloting with housing society.
Okay.
Because a lot of housing society have one parking slot, right? The man or the woman of the house takes that vehicle and goes out. Then there is someone also left who has to go in and around and do things. So that could be a model as well. Want to try. Don't know if it will work or not. Like reiterate and figure it out.
Right.
So that is also another thing. So unit economics is, we have been PAT positive for last 2 years even after depreciation.
Okay.
We are EBITDA positive and will remain EBITDA positive this year. इससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा data is we make a decent amount of money per kilometer in excess of 5-6 rupees.
Okay.
That's about it. So actually there is no cash cow. There are two ways of acquiring users. One is the college model, like the net zero campuses model, and another is the subscription model. The subscription model, basically what we say is this vehicle is as good as your own.
What percentage of your users are subscription model users?
Around 60.
Okay.
Around 35 around in colleges and net zero campuses.
Okay. Which are primarily booked for daily rides. I
No,
mean, sold out for daily rides.
No. We don't do daily rides in colleges. Colleges is a very unique funda where every single bike is actually used by more than 2 riders. What happens is, I have a station in a college.
Okay.
I partner with them. We also take interns, live projects with all the colleges that we partner with. What happens there is a station. There is one of our ninjas there helping out. So if you are from that college and you have done a KYC, first things will be a KYC will always be done. You can come and take the vehicle and we will charge you per minute. No cost for kilometers.
Okay.
No cost for kilometers. Only minute. Take the vehicle, go anywhere you want. In order to end the ride, come back to your station, hand me over. So in this case, even charging is not your responsibility.
Okay.
We will charge it. You just take the vehicle, do whatever you want to do, come back, return the vehicle. So in that case, so we start from around 9:30, 10 a.m. to the morning, and we talk with colleges about how long do you want to give the vehicle? Till how long?
Okay.
And because it's inside the college has the right to say कि 7:30 के बाद गाड़ी मत दो.
So you're saying any city with a decent number of college population is a receptive crowd to your company? How is Bhubaneswar in general, in particular?
I mean, I've served 25,000 users. How can I complain about it? I mean, we are a very young city, right? I think few years back, I read the proposal that government said for the smart city project.
Right.
To World Bank, right? It said average age of Bhubaneswar is 21.
Yeah.
So, if average age of Bhubaneswar is 21, I am redundant. I'm not 21. I do not represent the aspirations, the beliefs
Of the young
city.
mass. Yeah.
Of the city.
Of the city
We
in
all
general,
are irrelevant. None of us is 21. I think it will be 22, 23 today.
How has your definition of success transformed from your days of corporate sales to running Let's Drive?
Sales is setting targets and beating them and setting new ones. I mean, I will not say that Let's Drive is a success. Let's Drive has succeeded at a certain level to crack a city. The only success happens when we start to replicate across many cities, right? It's not at all about एक शहर में हो गया तो बढ़िया है. 7-8टा शहर କରିବାର ଅଛି. ଗୋଟେ ସହର is just saying कि भाई my hypothesis worked, my convictions worked, but a new city will again kick you in your teeth, right? User behavior change हो जाए, from different state to state we will drastically change. So we are on a good trajectory. Success is too strong a word.
Okay. You recently launched in Bangalore. What are the future plans for Let's Drive?
We want to be very honest, we want to be in many cities.
Okay.
And we also look at cities and not in terms of why did you went to Bangalore because it is Bangalore. No, data says that is the most student density,
Hmm.
and there are student densities across India, right?
Hmm.
You will find Indores of the world, the Jaipurs of the world, which people do not calculate in student densities. Jaipur is extremely student dense.
Just piqued my curiosity. Is statistically Bangalore the most student dense
Bangalore and Chennai.
city in the country? Okay.
See, what has happened, I will also give you why we believe student dense. So I did my MBA with 6 lakhs. I got a job which was more than 6 lakhs. The same job has gone up to 14, 15, 18 lakhs per annum in terms of today. The same role I joined in RBA.
Right.
But the same MBA has become 28 lakhs. So we are also, there are a lot of things we could learn from America, but we have learnt about making our education expensive. Right. So what we are doing is a lot, education was supposed to be an event which was supposed to build wealth. Now education is actually a lot of money. So it's not technically your way to move up the socio-economic ladder. Because not everybody can afford today 28 lakh MBA or engineering. So what is happening while debt has become easier, student loans have become easier. So not necessarily, even if you get a 1.5 lakh salary in a city like a Bangalore or a Bombay, you still might have 70,000 a student loan to pay.
Understood.
So that, and today's generation is about consumption, not about saving. So how do you enable them? How do you enable them to a commute or a bike? That's what the subscription is for. I rode your bike in college, great. Now I'm in a new city. First time I will have my own fiscal responsibility. Electric bill dena hai, ghar ka kiraya dena hai, sab dena hai. And you cannot take another loan on top of it. What do you do? So that's it. So that's the idea. Again, when we go to a new city, again it's testing a new hypothesis. Just because it worked in Bhubaneswar gives you no assurance it will work in a Bangalore or a Jaipur or a Cochin.
Right. In terms of hiring, you mentioned earlier in the podcast, this domain requires a lot of specialists. And in this market, in this locality, what are the general challenges that you face while hiring those specialists?
I mean, no startup, especially like us, like we have been bootstrapped, we have not raised equity.
Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to build a lean team, right?
No, I mean, every startup, in order to survive,
Hmm.
have to get things done from a set of people
Right.
who probably did not know that they could do it. Because you do not have the money for the best talent. You want people to punch above their weight.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what you work with. Once money comes in, that also comes with a different set of issues. But when you don't have money, the idea is to get people and make them punch above their weight. And the question is, it's also about a lot of intensity. It's not like a normal job. Building and running a startup is also intense. So what we have done is, whatever we got, we worked with it. There is no complaint to be made. I'm not saying Bhubaneswar does not have good talent. I do not have good money. So saying that there have been people who have not joined Tata Power and joined Drivey.
Oh, okay.
Not joined Cognizant, I think, and joined Drivey. After the graduation, the interns and the people that we have. It speaks of their conviction more than ours. Right? So it has been what it has been. And growing up, half of the job is to find the right set of talent and put them at the right place. A lot of time people are at the wrong place.
Okay. On a lighter note, how are you as a boss?
I mean, that's just one phone call away. You can call and ask anyone. Why would I say define myself as a boss? I bet I'm not easy.
Okay, it's hard boiled.
I'm not easy. I can vouch for that.
Okay. What does your typical day look like as a hustler?
I mean, there is no set note. It could be anything. It could be an absolute day sitting in a car and running across city to just meeting, to a day which will be chaotically silent. It's a very difficult way to put it across if you have not experienced it. Everything around will be chaos. And you might just need to step in every 1.5 hours. So it's not like you're free. It's like Rome is burning around you.
Okay. From a management degree to a very illustrious quizzing career to switching to the EV rental industry, how did that pan out? When did you take that leap of faith?
I mean, it's not a leap of faith. Ankur, I met Ankur, we discussed.
If I could just ask, how did you happen to chance upon your co-founder?
See, Ankur is a family friend. We
Okay.
both knew about each other, but were not friends, but knew each other.
Hmm.
So, not like friends.
Hmm.
And things hit off. So, sometimes it's about serendipity, right?
Yeah.
So, if it happened. And the best part is the
When
way.
was this?
This was early 2020.
Okay.
December 2019, Jan 2020, I guess. See, the best part is both of us look at what we do from two very different perspectives.
Okay.
So that's why we probably work, because if we thought the same, there was no value to be added.
I wanted to know that point when you decided to quit your job and that moment of
नहीं वो
epiphany.
तो that happened earlier. It's not, this is not my first rodeo. एक डुबा चुका हूँ, so that's not a big deal.
Okay.
So you learn, right? I think entrepreneurship and starting a company or a venture is overhyped. Why will I say? It's not like a light bulb where you switch on, आज मैं entrepreneur बन गया, या आज मैं धंधा चला लूँगा. No, if you have that sense of ownership and clarity, you can probably do it at your job. What happens is, when you do a little good at your job, you become cocky and you think I can run things. Once you step out of an organized company into a real world where you are supposed to do everything, you start to realize how much the systems helped.
Right.
ठीक है?
Right.
So you will see a lot of people failing because when they stepped out and they thought they could do everything, building systems and processes to replicate is one of the most difficult part
Absolutely, yeah.
of running a business, right? So a thing or two didn't work out. So that's all experience in building up and how to do. See, I see startup as a place where a lot of fires are burning, right? You put out those fires which help you grow and let the other fires burn because you do not have the bandwidth. So that has been also experience doing other stuff. So bringing in those experiences, those stuff
To the
together,
fore has kind of helped you out, yeah?
I would assume so.
Okay.
Or it's just plain luck, who knows?